You're watching News 10 ABC at 9 a.m.
Welcome back, everyone. One woman is bringing art to the Capital Region in many forms. I'd like you to meet Dee Colin. Her writing and her poetry has been featured everywhere, PBS, NPR, and she's performed all across the world. Dee lives by the words of Natalie Simone. An artist's duty is to reflect the times. With a degree from UAlbany in English and Africana Studies, she strives to educate. She often also shares her work on social media for everyone to enjoy. Take a listen to this poem.
You are love. You are brave. The sky is your ceiling. The ocean is your adventure. You open your eyes. You are here. It is well. You are alive. You are home.
And actually today, look at this. We have Dee Colin live in studio with us, but I did have to give people a preview of what you do. And I love that you bring your poetry to everyone. You make it accessible.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to experience poetry in multiple forms. It's one of those art forms that I think for a long time people think that they have to go to an open mic to listen to, but you can really experience poetry anywhere. You know, I was in New York City not too long ago, and there was poetry on the subway, right? So there's poetry all over the place, and it doesn't have to be this disconnected art form. You can really engage in it and experience the stories that are in the poems.
And truthfully, I found you on Facebook. Yeah. So that's how I found Dee originally a couple years ago when I first saw that she was putting out her poetry. But I wanted to bring you in, especially this month, because February is not just Black History Month, but it's also Black Women in the Arts Month. So I wanted to see if you could bring a crash course of poetry for us here today and for our audience at home. Where do we even begin, Dee? Where should we start when it comes to reading poetry?
There's so many. Well, one, I just want to say, just start, like, just dive in, because there's so many poets, and not only are there so many poets, there are so many living poets. So you can go on YouTube and listen to poems that way. You can peruse your bookstore and open up a book in a bookstore and just read a poem. You can also listen to podcasts. There are podcasts out there where you can just listen to poems that way. And then there's a ton of poems on, like, you know, online, everywhere, right? On TikTok, on everything, right?
Everything,
that's
TikTok.
the world that we live in. But for poets, I brought 3 poets with me today, 3 books with me today. But, you know, there are poets like Mahogany Brown, Kimon Felix. There's just so many different poems that you can you know, check out and read.
One that sticks out to me here, and you have it in the front, it's called A Good Cry.
Yes.
Which I love that title, because how many times, especially as women, have we said, I just need a good cry?
Yeah.
So what's inside this book?
So that's a book by Nikki Giovanni, who I absolutely love. And A Good Cry is a collection of poems, and there's some prose in there as well, where she really just talks about her life. There's love poems in there. There are poems about Blackness in there. There are poems that are reflective in there. And A Good Cry, you know, the title A Good Cry is really not only about crying from pain, but it's also about crying from laughter. So she, you know, brings all of the emotions together in this book.
And when I hear that title, Good Cry, I think of a catharsis, you know, a kind of healing. And I know that's something that's really strong in your work as well. You have an upcoming workshop. It's open to the public. I want to tell everyone about this because it starts on Friday. How can people get involved?
So the workshop that I'm doing is Writing to Exhale. It's called Writing to Exhale, 3-day virtual retreat. Virtual because you can join from anywhere.
Love that.
And it's really about healing. It's also about for folks who want to get back into writing, who have been experiencing a block, but also folks who are experiencing an emotional block and want to release. This event is perfect for you.
All right, Dee, before we go to break, what's your message to people out there who maybe have never picked up a pen in their life? Why should they write poetry?
Writing writing in general is a way of putting something on a page so that you don't have to remember it anymore.
Right.
That's something that I've used in my own personal life from experiencing trauma, and it's been an agent of healing for me. And writing poetry is really about being able to express feelings that maybe you can't talk about in a conversation, or maybe you can't share with someone right now. You can pour it into a notebook, and that is taking your power back. It's operating in a sense of power to use language to articulate the things that you've experienced.
Thank you so much for coming in today, Dee. Really appreciate it. Dee Collins' Facebook page if you want to sign up, by the way.